Hi, everybody. Welcome to an interesting modelling company pop-up live. I will try and keep this mercifully short this evening because you've got better things to be doing, and I've got some prep to do because I'm off to the Tank Museum tomorrow. Hurrah! So let's just crack on, shall we? Let's switch over to the workbench. Look, things are happening here now. As you may have seen today, I had to do a restart on the beach buggy figures because the oil paint, just the thinners for the oil paint just went straight through the acrylic paint. So we're not gonna try that technique again. So we've gone back to stripping them down in some oven cleaner, and just giving them a wash out now with some detergent. So we're going to give those another go, but we're not going to try that kind of. The idea behind that technique I was doing was that you cover them with oil paint, and then you just kind of remove it, and then by doing so you get stuff that's left in like the crevices and corners and things. I've used it before. It's a technique I've done before. It's a very good way of getting kind of shading done very quickly, but for some reason that didn't work today. But never mind. Here is Le Beach Buggy itself, which is a tremendously fun kit. It really is just fabulous, and I would seriously say that if you're looking for something to do over the Christmas holidays and want to do something different or off the wall or just a break from what you usually do, I would invest 10 of your earth pounds in one of these. Just tremendous fun. It makes me realize how much I enjoy building cars, or seemingly building cars, let's put it that way. But we just want to get those figures done. So yeah, what a fabulously fun little kit this is. Honestly, go and get one. You won't be disappointed. So that's that. Now, look here. An update on this. This was the IBG cruiser that Colin from Freight Dog sent us. And it's just got bogged down in one of these kind of projects that's just, really not going anywhere because of modeler induced nonsense. But it has been painted. It's been painted in this strange sand and purple scheme, which the instructions talk about. What we've actually done now is we've managed to get some weathering done on this, and literally this is all I'm going to do is some washes, and then I'll pick out the Pioneer tools, do the exhaust, and then that's it. That really is it. Put the decals on, and that's a wrap. So this is probably about 2-3 hours away from actually being finished. And as you can see, there's the turret as well, which we've just put some washes on just to bring out the detail. And I'll tell you something, this model is absolutely bursting with detail. Once you actually start putting washes in and you're looking for areas to actually apply it, you suddenly become more and more aware of lots and lots of rivets and little details. I know you probably can't see it underneath there. I'm not bothering with the underside in terms of weathering, but there are so much detail on the underside there. These are phenomenally well detailed kits, absolutely staggering. So yes, we'll be looking into those a bit more in the future. There's the running gear, which I ended up just airbrushing the thing in sand in the Portland stone. Then I masked off the wheels with Mascol, and then just sprayed the tracks a dark track color. I haven't bothered with the rear parts of these because once these are in position, nobody's going to see anything. So we're trying to be a little bit more ergonomic with the time. I'm just going to play catch up on some comments here. Hello everybody. Hello everybody's tuned in. Now here's the thing. In painting this IBG cruiser, I think I used the AK real colors for the camouflage scheme, but when it came to doing the wash, I just reaches round for it. I've got a cat sat on my lap who's decided to come in for the show. I think we should say hello to him. You gonna say hello, Derp? There he is. Anyway, this gave me the opportunity to actually try out for the first time this, which is the VMS satin varnish that everybody has been raving about. Now, I used it on this cruiser. This was the first time I've actually tried this. And it goes against every single instinct I have when it comes to using varnishes. The advice is that you don't thin it. You put it into the airbrush straight as is. Try and perhaps up the pressure a little bit, but not too much. And then you apply it wet. And I mean, you know, you apply it wet. You don't try misting it on. You put it on wet. And first of all, putting the stuff into the airbrush cup, neat. My first instinct was this is going to go horribly wrong because this stuff it looks thick. It really does look thick. Started spraying it. It sprays very well. I cranked the pressure up a little bit and started applying it. And I'm applying it wet. So it's one of these things where it's a new varnish. You've got to get used to its, how can I put it? You've got to get used to its properties, its covering properties. Started putting it on and the surface was notably wet and I could see it, I say building up on the surface, not flooding, but I could see it building up on the surface. And again, my gut instinct was this isn't going to work. This is just going to be a disaster. But I put a wet coat over the hull and the turret, put it aside, went and had some lunch, came back an hour later, and it absolutely, when I say vanished, it had settled down. It was a revelation. Now, although this says satin, what I found was that it doesn't give you a semi-gloss finish. This is going to sound a bit weird. It does to a certain degree, but the satin finish, the satin is more to do with the actual surface finish. I don't know how this stuff works. It's really strange stuff. But where I'd been trying out some washes beforehand on the raw paint, and because it's matte paint, and as soon as you put a wash in, you can see it instantly spreading across the surface, which I don't like. So I just went in there and cleaned it up again. Put the coat of this on. As soon as I started putting the wash in there, the wash just starts to pull in and collect around the detail. As I say, the surface isn't, there's not a great amount of surface reflectivity, not like, say, like a Tamiya semi-gloss or a Gunzi semi-gloss, a satin rather. It wasn't like that. It was flat with a little bit of reflectivity, but the moment you started putting the wash on, the wash just pulled in around all the detail. I have no idea how this varnish works, how it exists, because it goes against every single instinct I have when it comes to applying something like this. But all I can tell you is it works. And it is astonishing. And I can understand why Martin Kovac was one of the first people I saw on the Night Shift channel to be raving about this. Drew was then using it, and he is absolutely sold on this. I think he's pretty much bought shares in the company. I am pretty much lost for words for how good this stuff is. And I would sincerely suggest that if you haven't tried it, is to go out and, I'm trying to think who the retailer is for this. I'm sure somebody will pop up on the timeline and tell us. But it is absolutely astonishing stuff. And I've bought 2 of the satins and 1 of the matte. I haven't tried the matte out yet, but I can see me buying more of this because it's absolutely amazing stuff. So big thumbs up here for VMS Satin Varnish. It is really, really good stuff. Scale Model Shop. There we go. Dave Swindle comes up there. Scale Model Shop. So yeah, pop over to them and have a look and see what it's like. And Brian Walton says the same, scale model shop for VMS. Dave Fleming says, sounds like a matte satin version of Future. Yeah, it's, although Future, Dave, was actually quite thin and runny. This stuff isn't. This stuff is, it's quite thick. And I can understand why some modelers have said they've thinned it. But as Martin says on his videos, and as Drew has said, you don't thin it, you put it on neat. And I think Drew's said sometime over the next couple of weeks we'll do a live where we'll show you it in action. But yeah, it's honestly, it is so counterintuitive using this stuff, but the results are absolutely fantastic. Darren McGuinness says, also says you can buy it from Scale Model Shop. Rob Monfee says, can you get it from Scale Model Shop? Rob Monfee, see us after the show because we have a naughty step for you. Mike Clages says, I found it sticky when removing it from airbrush. What I did, Mike, was I blasted it through with Vallejo airbrush cleaner afterwards, and that seems to do the trick. It just there's like a detergent. There's something in it, like a mixture between a detergent and a very, very kind of tame solvent in the Vallejo airbrush cleaner. I actually prefer it to their airbrush thinner when it comes to thinning Vallejo paint. So it's a weird one. But yeah, I'll keep an eye on that. But honestly, I haven't had any problems with it at the moment. That's Mike Clages again. Sorry, Mike. The board is running away here. Darren McGuinness says the VMS satin is fantastic. Use it on my Sue 100. It dried to a beautiful finish. Yeah, I haven't used it on any aircraft yet, and I do have a couple of aircraft to build over Christmas. But like I said, I did use it on the little IBG cruiser just to seal the surface and to get a nice finish in order to start doing doing washes. And like I say, this is the weird thing about it. It's satin in terms of the actual surface, so that it does pull washes in and around the detail, but it's not satin in as much as it's actually shiny. I'm doing a shocking job of explaining what it's like, but it is really, really odd stuff, but it's also really, really good stuff. Dave Fleming says, hoping to get paint on my cruiser this week. Yes, I would sincerely suggest, Dave, choosing an easier scheme than doing this, because trying to do these straight edge schemes in 72nd scale over quite complicated surfaces is not something I want to do again. As much as I like contour schemes and whatnot, yeah, I'd rather not do another one of them in a hurry. People are asking about the cat, don't they always? Who's decided to come and sit on my lap here. His officially registered name is Blue, which is the name that he inherited when I adopted him 2014 now, so that's 7 years ago. He also goes under the nickname of Bing Bong, but mostly he's known as Derp because he's a bit of a derp. So we call him Derp. Derpy draws, Derper Derper. I don't think it means anything to him, or the only word he understands. I got to whisper this. The only word he understands is Licky Licks. Which anybody's a cat owner out there and they know what Licky Licks is. It's a kind of cat yogurt that turns them mad. And I can shout that from Devon and he'll hear it and he'll come charging along and want some. So anyway, but yeah, VMS satin varnish, absolutely fantastic stuff. So we are going to be repainting the deja vu, isn't it? Repainting figures. Not done that in a while, have I? We're going to be repainting Sonny and Cher for the beach buggy, but I won't be doing that overall kind of oil paint finish on it this time. I should just be putting the oil paint in to the areas where it needs blending, and I'll do it that way. I'm not going to be trying to do acrylic blends with the flesh tones on these. It's going to be purely using oil-based techniques. And then I will be doing, I'll use a limited amount of acrylic technique for the clothing. Admittedly, the female figure only has that bikini on, so that thankfully keeps that aspect of painting down to a minimum. The guy, he's got shorts and he's got like a gilet top on, so again, limited amount of kind of like clothing painting there. So with a bit of luck, we'll try and get this finished very, very quickly. And then it'll be a case of doing the final detail painting on this, putting some decals on it, and then probably a final sealing coat of either the VMS satin or the matte. And that's it. That'll be it. I'm not going to overdo this one. It needs to be finished. So again, big thanks to Colin at Freight Dog for sending us that. Sorry it's taken so long to do this. Likewise, I can do a wrap on the little Rubicon LRDG Chevy. That's all built. Just need some decals on it, and then that's it. That'll be finished. There's two figures that I did rather foolhardily construct to go with that. So again, I think I'll just finish them off as a sideline, but I'm not going to kind of like bust a gut to really kind of like do a full job on that. Then, yes, I am aware that I've got the Tamiya Panzer IV to finish off here, which is looking at me at the moment. It just needs some washes. It needs some detail painting. Yeah, I've got 5 figures to paint as well, so might do that in the new year. What I really want to do is actually crack on with a brand new project, and I have been asked to build the Italy Eurofighter reissue in RAF marking, so that will probably be something I'll do over Christmas, but that's purely straight from the box and minimal weathering on that. In fact, I'm a bit funny with aircraft, whereas with the tanks, I like to go in there and do tanky weathering. Sometimes with the aircraft, if it's a commission thing, I'll tend to build them a little bit cleaner. I don't know why. I don't quite understand why I do it that way. And I am also aware that I've got the Zvezda Hurricane is sat over there in the photo booth. I need to get another Zvezda Hurricane for all the spare bits and pieces, because we lost some bits at the Al Murray weekend. So, so apart from that, we're hoping to go into the new year clearing the decks here, and then getting on with some new projects, including potentially the new Revell SR71. Probably know more about that this weekend, which that'll be an exciting one to do. What else have I got? I've got that Dragon Bushmaster to build. Goodness me, my dance card is going to be full. We're going to be going into the new year, and my dance card is already full up. Just need a quick drink, folks. But and that's not even taking into account, hopefully I'm going to get my hands on that ICM Lafley V15 comedy clown car truck. And yes, and Zvezda have announced a little Russian tractor today, and Roden have announced a German staff car. It's all go again. It's all go. And then in a couple of weeks' time, I do believe the home team Airfix will start announcing some of their 2022 range, which is going to be interesting for you lot, at least. Mike Williams says the VMS mat is great for tying in various finishes in a cockpit. Deadens beautifully. I think this is the thing I'm slightly mindful of, Mike, and this is something that I've learned from Martin Kovac, is that he tends to do his basic paint work, puts his decals on, and in fact whisper it, but I have noticed Martin does tend to kind of gloss where he puts his decals. So that's his preferred method of doing things. It's also my preferred method of doing things, but he tends to do that. Then he'll give the model a really generous coat of the VMS satin. Then he starts doing his weathering, and he says he doesn't kind of do like a sealing coat in the end. He lets the weathering kind of tone any kind of shininess of the finish down, and that's a trick that I've started kind of stealing from him. And I know Mig Jimenez has also said that he tends not to kind of do like a finished like a final coat of varnish to seal everything in, because what that can do is it can destroy the different levels of patina and reflectivity that you've built into the weathering process. I noticed years ago, should have been a bit smarter in figuring this out, was that I'd be doing some weathering on a model. I think it looks, to my eyes, it looked fantastic. And then just purely out of habit, would then seal everything with a coat of matte varnish, and it would lose something. It suddenly, it just went off. I don't know how to describe it. Areas that I thought looked really neat in terms of kind of washes and highlights and things like that, suddenly it just looked a bit muddy. So I'm stealing that whole technique now of using a satin finish, and I have been using Galleria in the past, but we will be using this VMS stuff, is sealing your decals and everything in with a satin finish, then doing all your pin washes and your weathering on top of that. So like I say, if it is a little bit shiny, then the actual kind of like your weathering layers will take that off. And as I say, you get like a depth and a patina to everything. So, here we are. I'm 54. Goodness me, I'm 54, but still learning new tricks, new ideas, new ways of doing things, which I think is, fabulous, because it keeps the hobby fresh, really, doesn't it? So that's where we are this evening, and I'm just scrolling down to some of the comments. Brian Wilton says, take Sunny and Cher to the local fake tan shop, sorted. Yes, it's a sore point, figures with me at the moment. Dave Mummery says, you'll have to hope Mini Art don't release anything new. Of course they will. But they've done that little 3-wheeler though, haven't they? Goodness me. It's what was this? Premier Liquid. Brian Wilton says Premier Liquid Reamer clears out VMS. Right, okay, I'll bear that in mind. It's like I say, I use. It's up here on the shelf. Can I reach it? No, because he won't let me. I just use the standard Vallejo airbrush cleaner. As I say, I do find that actually works better as a thinner for Vallejo Air as well. For Vallejo acrylic paints. As I say, it's got a mild detergent in there. It's got a wetting agent in there, but it's also it's a little bit more aggressive than the thinner. So I just think it's a better thinner. But yeah, it does clean out a lot of acrylic paint as well. And then what I tend to do is, once I've flushed Vallejo airbrush cleaner through it, is I'll then flush it through with pure water, and then a couple of drops of lacquer thinner, whether it's Mr. Colour or the Tamiya lacquer thinner, blast that through, and that's because that is super aggressive. That will just get rid of anything else that's hanging around in the airbrush. I will probably at some stage, I'll take the needle out and give that a really good wipe and everything, but no excessive strip down or anything. So Steve Moore says, evening all, better late than never. I'm sorry folks, there is a bit of a one-man show tonight, because everybody else, Drew's working and Spencer's got other commitments, so it's Christmas essentially, so we're all kind of like we've got other things to be doing at the moment, but that's fair enough. But that's where we are with projects at the moment. And as I said, if you're looking for something different to do over the Christmas holidays, go and grab one of these. I just love it. Because it is completely different to what I usually build. And I did fight shy of doing any weathering on it, because I thought, no, too easy to go down that path. I'd rather build something where I'm trying to keep everything neat and clean, but just an utter joy from start to finish. And you may remember that was constructed using this £10 toolkit from Amazon. So I think we more than prove the point that when it comes to constructing a model in terms of gluing bits together, cutting and gluing bits together and cleaning them up, apart from going out and buying some glue, you can do all that with a £10 toolkit. Obviously, things get a little bit more complicated once you start going into painting, because I have my own preferred methods, but we wanted to see what you can do with a £10 toolkit. And yeah, you can build a model with a £10 toolkit. So that's good news. So that's pretty much it at the moment. As I say, I'm off to the Tank Museum tomorrow. Might do a pop-up live from there as well. Who knows? Who knows? I will probably pick up a couple of things in the shop. Yeah, they're all sat in there nodding at me at the moment. I think it's more than likely I'll pick up a couple of things in the shop. In fact, what I will do before I finish this evening, finish here for this evening, in terms of finish for the day, I should say, is just make a note of some of the books that I got there last time, because I did, having not been there for 2 years, I did go a bit mad in the shop and pick up a load of images of war books and Haynes manuals and things like that. But anyone who's not been to the Tank Museum, it has a very good museum shop, and the model side of it is excellent. It's almost an enthusiast's model shop. It does stock a lot of enthusiast-centric stuff, like some of the ammo of MIG paints and accessories and photo etch and brass shells and things like that. So it's a very good shop. And what else have I got to do? I've got to do some things there tomorrow, which you don't need to know about. And no, man of mystery. So yeah, that's it. That will be it. So looking forward to a nice trip down to Dorset with Mr. Farmer. It's been all go this week. It's been Somerset, it's been Devon, it's been Dorset. It's a right old tour of the West Country. Could even be Gloucestershire over the weekend. So anyway, and then Saturday, fingers crossed, I should be socially distancing, meeting up with Drew, and we're going to pop into Jadlam in Glastonbury. And again, we might even do a pop-up live there as well, and having a chat with them and seeing what they've got there as well. So looking forward to that. That's going to be tremendous. So, it's a busy old time, this. It's trying to squeeze Christmas bits and pieces in and modelling, and not enough hours in the day. So, on that note, thank you to everybody who tuned in. Tim says, how did the blemish on the side turn out? Well, Tim, the blemish on the side was filled with super glue and then sanded, and I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, it's pretty much not there anymore. Well, it's not there at all. So that was a very simple fix to do that. And incidentally, the metallic orange on that, oops, let's get that on there. That metallic orange is, oh goodness me, it's Tamiya's LP44 lacquer, and that was put down over a base of their white primer. I just gave it some white primer, let it dry for a few hours or so, let it dry overnight, polished it a little bit with a worn piece of Scotch-Brite, whatever you want to call it, Merlon, kitchen scourer, and then just put on a tooth coat of the LP44, let that sit for an hour or so, then went back and gave that a polish, and then gave it a bit more of a wetter coat. But I wasn't, I'm trying to keep it relatively simple on this model, so I wasn't going to go in there and start polishing it or doing anything like that. I just kept it as is. So car modelers are probably fainting at the moment at how loose I am in terms of finishing, but I'm not a car modeler. So I'm just going at it with my techniques. So apologies if it's not the proper way of doing it. Finally, dead leg. Yeah, as Douglas Under says, just a short one. Yeah, so we're already at half an hour. Dave Swindle says, how did you do the piping round the edge of the body? Dave, I did cheat there a little bit, and I used my Molotow liquid chrome pens. and I've got they come in a, I think they come in a pack, or there's two. These are, I can't remember how much I paid for these. A couple of quid. They're really not big money. And I've got two here, and I know this kind of is slightly something again which is a little bit more involved than trying to look at this from the perspective of a beginner. I've gone ahead and done something a little bit more enthusiast centric on this model, but there's a big fat one and a little thin one, but I find these are great for touching up chrome parts or doing minor bits of detail painting. And in the case of this model, they were excellent for doing the, don't know if you can see that on the engine cover there. You can probably see the little silver fasteners. I used the small Molotow for that, and I just went around the edge on the trim and used the large one to block in, and the smaller one to kind of do the final detail painting. And also I did touch all the lights had a little bit of silver on the surfaces, just to add a bit of oomph to them, I suppose. But yeah, nothing massively major. So yeah, cheating's good. Cheating's how I do most of my modeling. And yeah, Steve Moore says you can decant those and airbrush it. I haven't tried that yet, but yeah. So let's try and get some projects finished here. That would be good. If you get now this is interesting. This is from Brian. Says if you get the Molotow 30mm refills, you can pour it into an airbrush and spray it. Okay, top tip there from Brian. I should keep an eye out for that. That does sound interesting. So thanks for that, Brian. So yeah, that's pretty much it for tonight. Like I say, we'll try and keep this short. But honestly, if you have not tried this stuff, give it a go. I am seriously impressed with that. Seriously impressed that I may, even though I've got 2 bottles here and a thing of the matte, I may, just for my own OCD security, actually invest in a few more as well. Dan Wood says, I decanted some Molotow ink and brush painted the inside of the nose ring of a Lightning. It looked okay to me. Looked okay to me, right? Okay, yep. I did that on the little brain going into gear. I did that with the little Vespa that I did a couple of years ago. A couple of places I couldn't get the chrome into where I needed it, so I just brushed it out. But yeah, fantastic. That's a fantastic tip there, Dan. So that's pretty much it for tonight. I've suddenly realised I do have some other models that I've got to build as well. So much as I love Christmas, and I do love Christmas, part of me is also thinking, yeah, let's get Christmas out of the way so we can actually get on with things in the workbench again. So in the workshop. So anyway, look, on that note, it just remains for me to say thank you for watching. Sure, it's a little short one-man one tonight, but we hopefully will be back Sunday because we've got some things to talk about. Until then, it just remains for me to say stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you very, very soon. So bye for now.